Captain Forest here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over this matchup. I'm going to be talking about why Goku vs Gojo isn't close. If you guys are new to my channel, please leave a like, comment down below, and consider subscribing. But anyway, I'm going to talk about Gojo, go over some stuff for him. I've gone over Goku before, I have his scaling in my older videos if you want to check that out, but I'll give a brief summary about Goku and then I'll move on and give just my overall thoughts on who I think wins more often than not in a cross-verse situation. But anyway, let's get right into it. So starting off with attack potency, let's talk about some feats for Gojo. In the early encounter against Jogo, Gojo demonstrates the gap between each other as Gojo is able to blitz and beat up Jogo. Then he's able to use his curse technique Red, generate a small red orb and blast it at Jogo, sending him flying. This very same Jogo created an Iron Mountain, which was calced around the mountain to large mountain level plus ranges. We all like a little bit of consistency. Gojo is above the likes of Dagon, who created his own tropical island, which was calced around the mountain level ranges too. So right off the bat, in terms of AP, Gojo is ranging from mountain to large mountain level. There's also finite feats, you can take it down. There's like a city level calc I believe, but easily ranging from those levels. Now moving on to speed, there's a feat where Gojo is able to dodge an explosion from a bunch of cursed spirits. Now there are some ranges for this, as there is the anime and manga interpretations. I'll include both ranges for the sake of this video. So the feat in the manga was calced around the Mach 121, aka massively hypersonic, and the anime it was calced around Mach 1979, aka massively hypersonic plus. There is another calc where Hakari was able to dodge lightning, which was calced around the Mach 547 as a low end, and the higher end was calced around Mach 945, aka massively hypersonic, very close to massively hypersonic close as well. So Gojo would also scale to this and pretty much just be above it outright due to his own feat being just way more impressive than this. Alright, that's going to conclude stats. I'm going to move over, talk about Gojo's bread and butter, talk about his curse technique, domain expansion, and any other miscellaneous things in his disposal. Now in order to truly understand these concepts, I've got to break down a very important aspect in JJK called cursed energy. Cursed energy is a form of negative energy that flows within people and is supplied by negative emotions. These energies attract and also bring curses into existence. Notable places where curses thrive are places such as busy crowded areas and gatherings, schools and hospitals. The components of what manifests cursed energy can be emotions such as pain, humiliation, regret, depression, negative thoughts, bad memories, love, etc. Jujutsu sorcerers are taught how to control their emotions when using cursed energy. They do this so that they don't waste cursed energy. Todo explains to Yuji about cursed energy. Cursed energy flows from the stomach to the chest, shoulders, and then arms and fist. It depends on how you flow the cursed energy. In this case, Todo is critiquing Yuji's divergent fist, noting that he needs to instead flow the energy simultaneously with his raw attacks instead of just hitting afterwards, as the delayed technique is garbage against more powerful opponents and more so works effectively against average level Jujutsu sorcerers. This leads me to talk about another thing called cursed technique. In early chapters of JJK, Gojo explains the difference between cursed energy and cursed technique. Cursed energy is like electricity. It's difficult to use properly on its own, but by applying it with cursed technique, in this example of electronics like a hairdryer using electricity, you can project cursed energy with more control, precision and skill. More skilled and experienced Jujutsu sorcerers can use cursed energy more efficiently, such as applying it to their own entire body to form a barrier to protect from attacks. Nanami, who was also a skilled sorcerer in his own right, is able to apply cursed energy to his soul in order to protect himself from Mahito's soul transfiguration, or to amplify their physical attacks by reinforcing their fists, limbs with cursed energy. People's use of cursed energy and cursed techniques are different and unique to oneself, but in Gojo's case, he has something special. Gojo possesses the 6 eyes, which is an innate gift rarely inherited within the Gojo clan. They are a non-standard phenomenon in Jujutsu, which grants the user extraordinary perception, allowing them to see the flow of cursed energy and read cursed techniques. It also allows for precise control over cursed energy, which is indispensable for utilizing his limitless. Due to the 6 eyes, Gojo almost never runs out of cursed energy when he performs his cursed techniques, which also leads me to talk about his other cursed techniques. I'll start off with one that is most feared by everyone, Infinity. Gojo's cursed technique, in simple terms, is an infinite barrier where any attack that moves at a finite distance will never reach him. The barrier will create a space so that even if you try to physically touch him, you cannot. All attacks come to an abrupt halt. The author himself had to hire mathematicians in order to explain to the readers how infinity works due to its complexity. In order to even reach Gojo, you'd have to travel at higher infinities of speed or higher in order to reach Gojo. Otherwise, you will never touch him and you will be halted by his barrier every time. Gojo's barrier operates automatically instead of manually, and you can keep the barrier active at all times. He shows later on that it's constantly active when he's out and about, and also keeps it on him when his allies are around. He can also distinguish a threat based on the mass, speed and shape when the barrier interacts with attacks or objects, giving Gojo awareness of the type of attack he's dealing with. Another extension of Gojo's curse technique, called Red, a character named Miguel explains Red as the property of Limitless, which is Gojo's ability to manipulate curse energy and destroy things down on an atomic level with it by manipulating space-time. Curse technique LARP's Blue is achieved when the Limitless user greatly amplifies the amount of curse energy poured into this technique. This brings the concept of negative numbers and negative distance into reality, forcing real space to compensate and fill in the area by drawing everything towards the impossibility. This generates a strong force of attraction similar to a powerful magnet. By flowing higher amounts of curse energy into the technique, it generates larger fields of attraction in return. The magnetic force is powerful enough to tear apart entire buildings. A human body hit with the technique would be erased, but it can also be used to attract two targets to another, causing them to collide from wide distances. Hollow Purple. By combining both red and blue curse techniques, it creates a negative equation which removes whatever it touches, essentially erasing anything that comes into contact with it on an atomic level and space-time level. Now that we have established the context behind how these curse techniques work, gives us a better understanding on how Gojo fights, from warping his opponent's bodies, manipulating distance of his opponents, and the ability to teleport to places and levitate in midair. Now let's talk about Gojo's domain expansion, called Unlimited Void. Unlimited Void floods the opponent's brain with limitless information, making them feel everything and see everything. Because their brain is being flooded with endless information, the opponent is completely immobilized and helpless. There's another thing I want to bring up, folks. It's a thing in the verse called Reverse Curse Energy. Reverse Curse Energy is used in order to heal the user of injuries that they sustain in combat. Now, the use of reverse curse energy also depends on the user. Gojo's case, he can use his reverse curse energy to preserve his energy and keep his brain fresh, essentially giving him some type of form of self-sustenance and stamina recovery. Gojo has shown out of everyone to use his reverse cursed energy to rejuvenate his burnt out curse energy, allowing him to reactivate his domain expansion. Now, there's context to this, folks. When a Jujutsu sorcerer performs a domain expansion, and after the domain expansion has finished, essentially it is described as their curse energy being burnt out or overheated. For example, if you was to use a turret and you was to fire multiple bullets, the turret would eventually overheat. Now, the turret isn't necessarily broken, it just needs time to recover. It still has bullets, it still works just fine, it just needs to cool down. In Gojo's case, he can use his reverse curse energy to bypass this by cooling it down faster, hence allowing him to reactivate his domain expansion with no problems. When Unlimited Void is active, it affects everything except Gojo, who is the user of the domain expansion. Gojo can also use other techniques, such as the Falling Blossom Emotion, which is a secret art technique passed down in the Big Three Sorcerer family. Unlike Simple Domain, which the user manifests their own domain to nullify a domain expansion's auto-hit attack, Falling Blossom Emotion shrouds the user in curse energy that counteracts a moment a domain's guaranteed hit makes contact. The curse energy defends the user automatically, countering any attack with equal force to nullify it. And lastly, Gojo can use New Shadow style Simple Domain, which is an anti-domain technique that erects a small little barrier around the user to protect them from the effects of a domain expansion. So that's going to clarify Gojo's whole stats and abilities. I'm going to move on and give my thoughts, but I'm going to give a small little explanation with Goku's AP, pretty much just going through it. I'm pretty confident you guys are pretty aware of Goku's standing and placing in his own verse, but I guess I'll give a small little summary. So I'm going to go ahead, start off and talk about a little bit about Goku. Just a very brief summary. I'm not going to go into hardcore detail. I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. There are a plethora of Goku power scaling videos out there, so I'm pretty confident that my folks know about Dragon Ball Z scaling and where Goku would be placed, so I don't find it necessary to just completely go over it again. In fact, I even made a video myself, you know, with Goku vs Superman back in the past. All that scaling is still valid. Folks can just check that out and refer to that. But short and sweet, easily Dragon Ball Z Goku early on, you know, the Saiyan saga, he should easily be Moon, planetary, get him to large planetary. In the Namek saga, you get the dwarf star level stuff and the star level scaling from Frieza, from the feat that he performed on planet Vegeta when he performed that massive supernova. Moving up to the Android saga, at this point they should be, you know, solar system. There's some arguments for multi-solar system, but that was from like Sal going to annihilate the entire solar system. And also if you include multipliers, which gets these characters higher, of course, you know, reaching that benchmark of multi-solar system. Then you have the Buu saga itself, blatant multi-galaxy level feats, you know, blatant galaxy, multi-galaxy stuff from Buu annihilating, you know, galaxies, which is crazy. Goku would also scale to that too. And then of course there's the, you know, the controversial feat, the Vice Scream, the Vice Yao, that was stated, you know, it's going to completely rip apart like space-time. So there's some universal stuff, you know, near the end of Dragon Ball Z. Very impressive. Then we move up, talk about Dragon Ball Z Super. You know, you have Goku with his iconic fight with Beerus. Their punches and their clash was going to wipe out Universe 7's macrocosm, as like macrocosms, you know, contain not just one universe, like multiple universes. So that feat is argued to very least, you know, Uni Plus or low multiversal, which is very good. And then of course you move up to the Tournament of Power. That's also got crazy feats of their own, some really good speed feats as well, getting these characters to infinite speed, very good. And then you get the higher scaling and the more of the, you know, more context and supporting evidence, which actually reinforces and kind of bunks up certain feats. For example, like the Beerus and Goku clash, that was actually bunked up to 5D due to those statements and the whole thing that happened during the Broly movie. Right there and there, Goku should be short and sweet, multi-plus 5D. And speed, obviously, pretty much everyone knows. Dragon Ball Z, finite speed scaling of FTL plus, MFTL plus, really good speed stuff. Really good finite stuff very early on in Dragon Ball Z, and then that's when you get like the infinite speed in Dragon Ball Super and the immeasurable speed from, you know, the movie. So right there and there, Goku going from like finite levels to being a multiversal threat, essentially. Now that's gonna pretty much clarify just a very brief summary of Goku. In terms of like his abilities, you know, he has the Kamehameha. Chi in Dragon Ball is spiritual, physical, mental. Chi can also atomize things down atomic level, and Goku can perform many things with Chi. Chi is one of the most useful aspects in Dragon Ball. Chi is also used to help key users to resist against hexes as well, so especially against mind hacks, soul attacks. It's just been shown many times, just like with Jiren and Hit, just Jiren being stronger and also his Chi as well, being able to resist against hits, you know, time skip. That's just like an example, of course. Just generalizing general basis, general feats. Goku has other things as well, you know, solar flare. He's also very skilled, incredible martial artist. People really sleep on Goku's skill. He's really skilled when it comes to hand-to-hand combat. He can throw down, absolutely. So there's many things Goku can do. He has his transformations, of course, so he can continue to just stack multipliers on himself, make himself, you know, infinitely stronger or finitely stronger. Just really good multipliers. So that's just the very basic, you know, necessities of Goku. Now, who do I think wins? Goku completely slaps Gojo. It's not close in any way, shape or form. There's arguments I've heard for Gojo that I don't really agree with. People don't really understand infinity. Like, people say, oh no, people can't, you know, there's no one can bypass infinity. In simple terms, if you are moving at finite speed, so FTL, MFTL, subsonic, lightning timer, you will never reach through that barrier because it's too slow. It's finite. It will run out. It will run its course. It has an end. Goku, if you give him the arguments of infinite speed and immeasurable speed, Goku will get through that barrier. And if he gets through that barrier, he's going to clap Gojo. Gojo's stats are awful. Mountain, large mountain in comparison to, you know, Goku's AP. Goku just one-shots many times over with that AP. And plus Goku, he could easily just slap away infinity. He could destroy infinity. He can just get around infinity very easily. Now, What about the domain expansion? Now, of course, another thing that Goku has, he has mastered Ultra Instinct. You could make the argument that if Goku is just piloting off just instinct, like, instinctive reaction and just instincts alone, the information flooding probably won't work if Goku's not using his mind, which is a pretty decent argument. You could just make arguments that Goku would just destroy, the unlimited void. He can just get out of it just fine. And just due to the massive speed difference, Gojo's just going to get blitzed. There's nothing he can do. He won't be able to register anything because he'd just be way too slow. His synapses won't go off in time, and Goku would have already bypassed the barrier and one-shot Gojo. Now, what about Gojo's other curse techniques? What about Hollow Purple, Blue, and Red? I really don't see those things working on Goku at all. Goku actually has resistance against the Hawkeye itself. He's resisted existence erasure, and as I mentioned before, Ki and Dragon Ball can atomize you on an atomic level, so Goku would just be able to resist the Hollow Purple, Blue, and Red effects. He just slapped those away honestly. And you could also make the argument that Goku could even use the Hawkeye on Gojo himself. He could just Hawkeye the barrier away, or just Hawkeye Gojo himself. So more often not, I gotta give this to Goku. Just far too superior over Gojo in terms of stats. Better AP, better speed, better resistances. He'd actually be able to resist a lot of Gojo's win cons and just completely dismantle Gojo's narrative when it comes to his own fighting style and the way he goes about things. So more often than not, gotta give this to Goku. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below, and consider subscribing. Anyway, it's been real. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.